The history of reproductive health in the United States has really been defined by significant state violence against poor women and especially women of color. Marion Sims is considered the father of gynecology. There's a statue devoted to Marion Sims in Central Park of all places. He was from South Carolina, but he rose to such fame and high regard that his image is made forever bold and tall in New York, our nation's economic capital. Much of what we know about Marion Sims actually comes from his autobiography. He experimented on slaves to perfect tools used in gynecology and procedures, and housed his slaves in the back of his house. What he called his medical suite was a shack, basically in the back of his home. He'd wake up in the middle of the night when he would, as he described it, have an epiphany in the middle of the night. He'd need to go in and grab one of the slaves and put her on the operating table. He would rouse Lucy or Narcha or another without any anesthesia or the aid of any kind of pain relief. He would begin lacerating, cutting into their uterus, experimenting with C-sections on women who were not pregnant, cutting across their wombs over and over again to perfect what he was imagining in his sleep, essentially.
Judgment for the plaintiff as so ordered.
Judge Glenda Hatchett is used to hearing cases on her television show. Now she's involved in her own heartbreaking legal fight over the death of her daughter-in-law.
My precious daughter walks into the hospital and she never walks out.
Everybody's here to celebrate.
Kira Johnson had just given birth to a healthy baby boy. Judge Hatchett's son, Charles, is heard beaming. But a few hours later, Kira was dead.
I was irate. I was in disbelief.
Never, ever, ever did I think that I would not see her again.
Charles thought of his 39-year-old wife as a superwoman. She spoke 5 languages, raced cars, and was an avid skydiver.
Honest to goodness, she was the most amazing person I ever met in my life.
The two were excited to soon welcome a second son into their family. Kira came here to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles for what should have been a routine procedure, a C-section. According to this lawsuit, when Kira was recovering in her hospital room, her blood pressure plummeted, her heart began racing, and she complained of pain in her abdomen. Her family says she wasn't taken back into surgery for 10 hours.
There were some very, very clear signs very early on that she was hemorrhaging internally.
Are you shocked that it took so long
Yes.
to get your wife back into surgery?
I was definitely shocked. We definitely pleaded repeatedly for them to take action.
His lawsuit claims doctors knew Kira had excessive bleeding and ordered CT scans, but records do not reflect these scans were ever performed. 10 hours after her C-section, she was finally taken into surgery. Doctors reportedly found 3 liters of blood in her abdomen. They were not able to save her.
The last thing she said to me was that, I'm scared. And I held her hand and I kissed her and I told her that everything was going to be okay.
His youngest son, Langston, just celebrated his first birthday without his mother. His other son, now 2.5, still wakes up crying for his mom.
And I would respond, I'll say, well, Charles, she's in heaven. And his response to me will be, well, I want to go too. Having that conversation with the 2-year-old is something that I don't know quite how I'll ever be able to figure out.
Judge Hatchett hopes by sharing their personal tragedy, they can prevent this nightmare from happening to anyone else.
We are devastated by her death, her senseless, tragic death.
Cedars-Sinai Hospital sent us a statement saying they are saddened by the death and the toll that it's taking on the family, adding they strongly support their goal of determining exactly why this happened.
Well, this week we're focused on a very important, very emotional topic affecting women all across the U.S. But tonight we want you to hear the story of a Central Texas woman who lost her life after giving birth. KVUE's Chris Betts spoke to the grandmother, now raising 3 children on her own.
No, you don't want to get My whole entire life just changed, you know, overnight. Haven't ever had a drink, smoke, or done drugs. You know, I've done all the stuff. Right, you know, I'm supposed to be like traveling the world and just doing what I want to do, you know. You know, it's just like really, it's really a big change, you know.
In 2014, Cheryl Perkins stood by helpless, watching her daughter Cassandra get increasingly more sick. It was Labor Day weekend, and she was rushed to the hospital.
I know it was God that said go to the hospital. So I called my brother and I said, I have to go now. It was 3:30 in the morning and I didn't know why. I had no idea she was gonna die. But I said, I have to go now to see her. I have to go.
And that would be the last time that Cheryl ever saw her daughter alive.
She said, get me ready, comb my hair, you know. You know, I want you to comb my hair and make sure I'm dry and make sure I'm clean. But still, I didn't think that she was gonna die. I still didn't.
Cassandra, who had given birth to twins via an emergency C-section just days before, was only 21 years old. Otherwise healthy, her pregnancy with the twins had been a health nightmare. Over the course of 6 months, she went to the emergency room 22 times.
I just don't think they knew what to do.
After her death, Cheryl says an autopsy revealed doctors had left behind pieces of placenta. The infection killed her. Now Cheryl is left raising the twins alone.
He totally understands everything you're saying and reacts to it.
After nearly dying in the NICU, 4-year-old Cottrell requires constant care. His sister, Camille, is by his side, and their older sister,
J-O-U-I-N-I
6-year-old Journey, all under Cheryl's care.
I know for a fact that my daughter knew that I would take excellent care of them. I can't, you know, imagine life without them now.
Because when a mother passes away, she not only leaves behind a child, she leaves behind the chance to watch her babies grow, to see them turn into beautiful, smiling toddlers. The impact on families' lives is far greater than we can imagine. And in Texas, Black mothers are dying at a higher rate than the national average. A statewide maternal mortality task force established in 2013 and expanded in 2017 found that Black women in Texas died from pregnancy-related problems nearly 2.5 times higher than white women, many of them, like Cassandra, on Medicaid. And the task force found 80% of those deaths were preventable.
You can get a doctor. You can get the one you want. You know, if it's something going wrong that you don't like, question it.
Because questioning and getting another opinion could have meant Journey, Camille, and Cottrell got to grow up with their mom. But they'll never get that chance. Now Cheryl tells her story to push for change, hoping to save another mother, a Black mother, from losing her life. Chris Betts, KVUE News.
My daughter was perfectly healthy. She was perfectly fine. Mentally and physically, she was perfectly fine. And she died in that hospital.
More women are going to die. I mean, it's just that simple. If we don't get a handle on this and turn it around, then more women are going to die.
Who was Dominique? First of all, she was my daughter. Dominique was a sister. She was a mom. Dominique was a beautiful, powerful Black woman. She was a star that was zapped away from out of this world. She never woke up. And we didn't get a chance to see her. We didn't get a chance to tell her we love her. We didn't get a chance to do anything, to touch her, to do anything. I didn't see my daughter until she had passed and they brought her in the room for the family to come and view. Hey, baby. And I'm looking like, but all you people and my daughter died. I couldn't understand it. I couldn't understand it.
As the rate of mothers dying has decreased across the developed world, it's gone up dramatically in the US. And America's numbers are bad even compared to some in the developing world.
Well, why on earth is this happening in America? Well, a lot of campaigners feel that access to medical care is a big part of the problem. The state which has got the highest rate of maternal mortality is also the state with the highest proportion of people without health insurance, and that's Texas.
We know that Texas is the uninsured capital of the nation. So from the very beginning, we know that more of our residents don't have health care.
But a government official I spoke to wouldn't accept that.
I don't really believe that's true. I think that the underlying trend for increasing chronic disease in this country is really the fundamental underlying cause for the increase in maternal morbidity and mortality across the nation.
But there's something else going on, a huge racial disparity in the figures across the US.
When we're looking at the fact that African American women are dying at 3 times the rate, we have to look at what is it about this group specifically.
Good, how are you?
People don't want to talk about it. We're post-racial, we had a black president. But our numbers aren't bearing that out. You'll feel the contractions and everything, but the real ones will push. And sometimes you will actually see your stomach kind of shrink in a little bit as it. I go to people. I'm seeing people where they are. I think the thing that gets me is there's not the sense of urgency, and it's really an easy fix, I think. We have to sit down with the people who need the help and say, what do you need? And there seems to be this unwillingness to do that.
This doctor told me life goes on. Well, freaking life goes on. Yours is going on. My daughter's is not going on. You do not tell a parent that just lost their child, life goes on.
The fear is, without a real sense of urgency, many more American women will die before there's even a plan in place to address the problem.